Few legal subjects evoke greater passion or criticism than laws affecting children of separation and divorce. And one of the most controversial subjects of all is the subject of child support, particularly since the introduction of the Federal Child Support Guidelines in May of 1997, when one of the criticisms of most people is the belief that the guidelines don't strike a fair balance between the parent paying the support and the parent receiving the support.
Well, I think the way the child support is calculated is totally unfair for most of the parties involved, which is usually the father and the children. And it's unfair because what happens is that the way that the formula is put together does not allow for any other expenses that one parent may have had to incur as a result of the divorce or the separation. So, for example, if parents are separating or divorcing and there's mortgages and personal loans, the formula doesn't allow for that. The formula comes up, is based strictly on what the father's income is, how many children there are, and takes into consideration nothing else. So consequently what happens is that the amount of salary that the father usually ends up paying doesn't allow him to pay meet his obligations for his other financial commitments, and usually ends up with a lot of fathers going into bankruptcy, losing their credit ratings, which does not affect in any positive way the children. It's a very negative effect. I think the way the child support orders are enforced in British Columbia is totally one-sided for the mother and very much against the father. The accountability is only on dad to pay, and if dad doesn't pay for one reason or another, is subject to strict punishment through suspension of driver's license, suspension of passport, which obviously would inhibit their ability to seek other employment. So very much one-sided. Well, in order to correct the unfairness, I think we need to look at a system that takes into account everybody's income, so that the money that's being paid is actually being spent on the children and for the children, and that doesn't exist. Also, another way that we might make the system fairer is to enforce the whole court order that brings maintenance into effect, such as enforcing access. This is a real critical issue that's come up again and again and again, and dads always feel that if they had at least equal access to their children, they certainly don't mind paying the money, but what they object to is not seeing their children.
The original intent of the Child Support Guidelines was an attempt to level the playing field and help remove some of the difficulties in settling child support. But it's not a simple balancing act for either parents or children. Good legal advice is the best way to ensure a fair and balanced result. This is Scott T. Taylor saying, my hat's off to you until next time on Under Appeal.